Or what if you could have hundreds more in your bank account next month without even trying to spend less?
I like that.
And what if you could feel more in control of your money than ever before? Well, in this episode, we are going to be sharing a free app that is going to help you do just that. So you are listening to the SeedTime Money Podcast, and this year we are sharing our 40-week checklist of all the action step strategies and biblical insights that we use to go from paycheck to paycheck living to reaching our biggest financial goal of becoming seven-figure givers and living a life of true financial freedom. And so today we are talking about one specific thing that we did that made a really big impact on helping us reach that goal. And I want to take you to a story quickly, just kind of illustrating this point. And so we have the opportunity to talk with a lot of different couples about finances, and we have people who call us asking for help in situations. And maybe a couple years ago, we had this one couple reached out, and they were in a really, really tough financial spot, and they were about to have a baby, and they were considering moving. You know, moving when you're about to have a baby is... things are legit.
Yeah,
like if you're at that point where you're like, all right, we need to consider moving. But the reason they were considering moves is because things were just so tight.
Right.
And they didn't know what was going on with their finances. And it was just a very, very tricky time for them. But they came to us basically saying, I think we need to move. Our rent's too expensive and nothing's working out. And so we pointed them to this exercise that we are talking about in this episode today. And essentially what it is actually using an app to go back and track and see where you've been spending your money to actually know hard data of where you have been spending. Okay. So some of you are nerds and you do this, and that's great. But some of you are not. Like I know some of you are not, and you're not doing this.
If you're like Bob, you're already doing this. If you're like me, you're not.
Yeah. And so if you fall into that category, you're like, I'm not really sure if this is worth it. That's going to be my job today. How can I prove to you that this is going to be worth it? And so I'm going to finish this story with them. So they very much fell in the category of, oh, you got to be kidding me. Do I got to waste my time doing this? So I said, here, go get this app, plug your stuff in there. It'll take you 10 or 15 minutes. That's it. And I should step back. Before I said that, I was asking them all these questions about their spending. It's like, trying to get a feel for, all right, where are you spending money? Like what's going on, blah, blah, blah. And so one of the areas that I always ask people about is your food, because that is an area where for most people, there's a lot of spending happening there. And in many cases, there's a lot of potential savings there.
Yeah.
So I was asking, what do you spend on groceries? What do you spend on this and that? And I said, okay, what about eating out? How much do you guys spend eating out? And they're like, $200 a month. Like we're pretty solidly, about $200 a month. And I'm like, it's not too bad. But I said, here, I want you to go use this app, and I want to find out hard data, not just like what you think, what it feels like or whatever.
Right.
And so I said, go use this app. Come back to me in 2 weeks. We'll talk and we'll go from there. And so they come back and they say, all right, Bob, here's the deal. It turns out the $200 that we thought is actually $800 a month.
Right.
And,
on eating out.
And I'm like, that's interesting, because what that does now presents you with the opportunity of, yes, you can move and get a rent that's $400 a month lower, or you could just eat out less and save that $400. And now you can stay in your apartment that you're in,
right,
and have your baby there, and so you get to make this choice yourself. And you get to decide what's important to you, because we're not going to yell at you and tell you what to do.
Right. It's so powerful when you have the choice to make. I think that's what's so great about this exercise is, you mentioned, do I really have to waste my time and do this? And it's like, it does seem like a waste of time, except for it gives you really good information to make better choices off of. And, you've even done this to me where I wasn't paying attention, and you're like, do you know how much you're spending on this one thing? And it's like, after, you weren't even mad about it. You were just giving me information. And I think that's what made me really like, well, now I have to decide if I want to keep doing this, It was one of those things, but I did. I was so grateful for that information, because I was like, I actually don't want to be spending that much money on that. And I can make a better choice now. And instead of just being honestly a slave to my whims and emotions and feelings.
Well, and not even that, but slave to the world around you, slave to everyone else telling you where your money's going to go. Rather
That's
than
really
you
good.
being in the driver's seat, making the decision as the steward, as the
Right.
manager of what God has entrusted to you,
Right.
you know? And so,
yeah, this isn't a point to say, well, you shouldn't spend money on anything that you enjoy or you love.
absolutely.
It was just that when you get the information, you can decide if that's the thing that's really important to you or not, or if it makes the most sense for your lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because, when you have a brand new baby, you don't need to buy a new wardrobe. You do need to have meals delivered to you a lot for a while. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like, where should your money go? You have to pick and choose what is going to make the most sense for the season you're in and your lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah. And in their case, I wouldn't have had a problem if they came back and said, it's $800 a month, but we just love eating out.
Yeah.
So we're going to move. I'm like, great. It's your choice. You can
Great.
do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But it's great that you have the option.
Mm-hmm.
And in their case, I think they were really excited to see that they had options.
Yes.
And that's what this does for you.
Yes.
Instead of feeling completely trapped and I have no other options, I have to do this.
This thing that I don't want to do.
Yeah.
Right.
It might just free you up to something else.
Yeah.
And so I think that's just the most powerful part is that now you have options. And that's exciting.
It's really exciting.
So what does the Bible say about all this? If we go back to Genesis 13:2, what we see Abram and talking about how wealthy he was. And it first measures his wealth by his livestock.
Yeah.
Okay. Which is interesting, especially when you compare that or combine that to Proverbs 27:23, which says, know well the condition of your flocks and pay attention to your herds.
Right.
Because again, like a lot of times you can read verses and it's like, I have no idea what that's talking about. That's for farmers or whatever. But
Yeah.
when you understand that livestock was a form of currency, what this is a money management verse for us today.
Yeah.
And that's really powerful because this is specifically telling us to know well the condition of your flocks or your money.
Right.
Know what's going on and pay attention to your herds or your money. Pay attention to what's going on. And
Right.
I think it's so easy in this world that we live in. Like money is far more complicated than it was 20, 30 years ago with all the different things that we have, all these different subscriptions, everything's going out everywhere in Venmo and PayPal and Cash App and some still have checkbooks and, it's like everything, it's just complicated. And so we have to be paying attention to what's going on. Otherwise, it's like, again, everyone else is running our financial life. Like the bills are just being taken out and the subscriptions are just going and we're just eating out whenever we feel like it or whatever.
Yeah.
Like we need to be in charge and running the show. And this
Yeah.
is one way that we can do that by actually knowing what's happening and what's
Yes.
going on, right? So let's talk a little bit about how to do this.
Right.
Okay. Because this is super practical. We're going to make this insanely practical. So if you've ever been to a nutritionist or food, whatever person, I don't even know. But
Right.
I remember going to one and they had me write down a food journal. And so I literally had to write down everything I ate.
We did this at the same time.
Yeah. And what happened?
Well, I was like, there's accountability here, and I don't want them knowing what I actually eat in a day.
Yeah. So you immediately start eating better. And
You
what's
do.
interesting is like, honestly, even I felt like you don't even have to try. Like you literally just start writing it down. And the byproduct of that is you're now paying attention. Your brain is actively thinking
Right.
about it rather than mindlessly going to the pantry and eating chips and whatever. It's like your brain
You're
is
like, I already
activated.
ate a donut today. Should I really have ice cream for
Yeah.
also?
So it moves to the forefront of your mind, and therefore you're just making better decisions
Yeah.
without even trying, So that same thing, and again, some people might not want to do this. Some people are all digital. That's fine. Doesn't really matter. But the point is that exercise of writing down everything you spend for a day or a week or whatever is going to be fruitful. No doubt. Absolutely no doubt about it. I have seen this time and time again. I have literally read articles of people saying that they saved 50% without feeling it by doing that
That's amazing.
exercise.
Yeah.
So that's option A. Option B is using an app that will allow you to connect your debit card, credit cards, and then pull in all your transactions and categorize them for you. So you can literally do that and spend 5-10 minutes and be able to look back the next
That's
6
great.
months, 9 months, and see exactly where you've been spending your money. That's option B, which is what I prefer. I don't think it's quite as fruitful as option A, but still, like it's the 80-20, it's going to get you there, and it's absolutely going to be worth it. So
and in some ways, it's a little bit different information because it tells you what is actually going on. Like I had mentioned I already had a donut. Do I really want to eat ice cream?
Yeah.
Because I knew someone was like going to see this, and there was a little bit of accountability there. But had I actually been eating a donut and ice cream, that's probably the information that they wanted to know, because then you can actually fix the problems that are there.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think both of them have different ways of working.
Yeah. No, benefits to both. But all I'm saying is I prefer the digital approach and again, where the app is doing a lot of the heavy lifting. But anyway, so there's multiple apps that will do this. I've looked into a whole bunch of them. My current favorite is called Rocket Money, which you can get at rocketmoney.com. And they have a paid version and free version. I think the free account is fine for what you do for doing this exercise. The paid version comes with a few more bells and whistles. And so that's something to work through. Since this is a podcast, I'm not going to go down exactly how to do this. But I do have a free tutorial on our website showing you exactly how to use this tool to do this. So if you need a little hand-holding, a little help, you can just go to seedtime.com/cashflow, all one word, cashflow, all one word. And on that page, we have a quick tutorial that'll walk you through. I think it's 3 or 4 minutes long, and it'll show you exactly how we use this tool for this purpose. And so this is a really, really powerful thing that we really recommend for a lot of people. Like if you're not doing something like this, please do it. Please do it, and then email me and tell me the results you got, because I'm telling you, like that story we shared at the beginning of them thinking they spent $200 a month eating out and actually spending $800.
It's just common,
I
right?
hear this all the time. Yeah. All the time. And so just use the app, spend 10 minutes, and go find out for yourself.
People guess wrong. And I think, there's so much of that. Well, it feels like fill in the blank. And that's what you want to get away from. You want to get the concrete evidence of what's actually going on so that you can get the benefit out of this.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, there's no benefit.
Yeah. So anyway, so that is your action item. That is your to-do. If you want to find out more about this whole thing, we talk about this in chapter 4 of our book, Simple Money, Rich Life. Yes, chapter 4. So you can read more about the whole process and everything else like that. And outside of that, after you do this, if you want to dive into the next level of kind of getting control of your money, I recommend checking out our unbudgeting program called the Real Money Method.
Yes.
And essentially, this is our money management budgeting approach that is simpler, quicker than anything else we've ever tried. And to be honest, the only thing that ever worked for us when we tried everything else. So you can check that out if you want to go dive deeper into all of this. But it's really great. It keeps, especially if you're married, it keeps you on the same page. It is handling your, the actual money that you have rather than an idea of what money you have. Yeah, it's getting concrete instead of squishy. And that's what so much of this stuff comes down to. Yeah. How do we get out of this squishy money management if it feels like, it seems like, and get into the concrete of this is what actually is going on, and then being able to manage with that. Yes. So anyway, that is your action item for today. And thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us in this series. And again, send us a message on Instagram at seedtime.com, or I'm sorry, at seedtime, and let us know if you're enjoying it. And that's all we have for you today. We'll see you in the next one. So if you liked this episode or just our podcast in general and you want to hang out with us more, what about for 6 weeks in a row with your small group or church? Yeah, we'd love that. That sounds fun to us. So if that is interesting to you, just head over to seedtime.com/true and to get all the details of how we can do that and how we can serve your small group, serve your church, or also just send us a message on Instagram at SeedTime, or send me an email, bob@seedtime, and we can chat.